If we turn back the clock to the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, there was one name that stood as the ultimate symbol of audio and visual royalty. If your dad's car had this brand's head unit or radio tape, that car automatically became the coolest ride in the neighborhood. If your living room had its audio system, your house was essentially a private movie theater. That name was Pioneer. In its golden age, Pioneer wasn't just a brand, it was the standard. The standard for car audio, the standard for DJ equipment in nightclubs worldwide, and the absolute standard for the best TV picture quality ever created by humanity. But take a look around you today. Where are they? Why did this Japanese tech giant, which once ruled the world, suddenly seem to vanish from the face of the earth? Today, we are going to dive into one of the most ironic stories in tech history. This is the story of a brand that defined the global audio industry, birthed innovations light years ahead of their time, partnered with Hollywood entertainment giants, and yet ultimately collapsed because they were simply too perfectionist. This is the story of Pioneer. The story begins way back in 1937 in Japan. A man named Nozomu Matsumoto listened to the sound of an American-made dynamic speaker for the first time. The sound was so incredibly clear, so lifelike, it gave Matsumoto goosebumps. Right then and there, he made a promise to himself. I have to build a speaker that sounds this beautiful, but made right here in Japan. In 1937, Matsumoto successfully created his first product, an 8-inch dynamic speaker he named the A8. Because of his strong belief that he was a true pioneer in this industry, he slapped a logo on it with the word Pioneer, accompanied by the iconic Omega tuning fork symbol. A year later, in January 1938, he founded a company called Fukuin Shokai Denki Seisakusho in Tokyo. It wasn't until 1961, because the brand name Pioneer had become so universally famous, that the company officially changed its name to Pioneer Electronic Corporation. Moving into the 1970s, Pioneer was no longer just making speakers, they were dominating the entire audio component market. While Sony and Panasonic focused on portable convenience with the Walkman, Panasonic played heavily in the mass market. Pioneer chose a different path, high-end audiophile quality. In 1970, a massive shift happened. Pioneer realized that hardware wouldn't sell without the software, the music, and the movies. So they formed a strategic joint venture with American entertainment giant Warner Brothers Records. They created the Warner Pioneer Corporation. Through this partnership, Pioneer gained exclusive rights to distribute massive artists from the Warner label, icons like Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and eventually Madonna in Japan and parts of Asia. In return, Warner Brothers benefited as their music and films were bundled and marketed with Pioneer's premium hardware. By 1975, Pioneer released the world's first component car stereo. They literally invented the concept that a car radio could be assembled in separate high-quality pieces: head unit, amplifier, and speakers. This synergy got even crazier when Pioneer introduced the Laserdisc to the consumer market in the early 80s. Imagine this, while most people were stuck watching grainy, fuzzy VHS tapes, Pioneer was selling an optical disc the size of a vinyl record that displayed the absolute best analog video resolution of its era. This was the grandfather of the CD and DVD. Warner Brothers supplied their Hollywood blockbusters on Pioneer's Laserdisc format, transforming Pioneer from an electronics factory into a massive entertainment empire. In the cutthroat audio market of the 90s and early 2000s, Pioneer stood above heavyweights like Sony and Alpine. They held a special place in consumers' hearts across 4 key sectors. Car audio, an absolute must-have for car enthusiasts, armed with Super Tuner for crystal-clear radio and built-in MOSFET 50WX4 amps, they made your car speakers shake without needing an external amplifier. Home theater, Elite Series, the pride of the living room, these brutal 5.1 and 7.1 setups delivered massive power and earth-shattering bass that was an absolute nightmare for your neighbors. Pioneered CDJ, In 2001, the CDJ-1000 revolutionized global nightlife, letting DJs scratch CDs exactly like vinyl. Pioneer killed the competition and still monopolizes DJ booths worldwide today. The KURO TV, the undisputed holy grail for video files. Released in the mid-2000s, this plasma TV delivered pitch-black levels so far ahead of its time that modern OLED screens are still compared to it. Of course, Pioneer wasn't alone on the battlefield. In the home electronics sector, they were constantly attacked by Sony and Panasonic, who had much more aggressive marketing and produced more affordable goods. Pioneer always positioned themselves as a premium brand. Their quality was undoubtedly #1, but this exact mindset was where the seeds of their destruction were planted. How could a company this massive just disappear? The answer lies in pride that mutated into arrogance. Remember that incredible Pioneer KURO TV? Ironically, that was the double-edged sword that pierced Pioneer's heart. To build plasma TVs of that absurd quality, Pioneer burned through massive amounts of research and development cash. The problem was production costs were astronomically high. The retail price for a KURO back then could easily surpass $4,000 to $5,000. At the exact same time, South Korean giants like Samsung and LG flooded the market with LCD TVs that were good enough in quality, but at a fraction of the price. A Cold War broke out inside Pioneer's corporate walls. The management and finance division screamed, "We have to lower our quality standards, switch to cheaper components, and fight the Korean TVs, or we are going bankrupt." But the engineering team firmly refused. They felt lowering quality was an insult to the Pioneer name. They refused to compromise. What happened next? Consumers spoke with their wallets, choosing cheap, thin TVs over expensive, perfect ones. Pioneer started bleeding cash massively. The R&D and production costs of the KURO lineup drained the company's entire cash reserves. Their idealism to be the absolute best ended up strangling their own neck. So, what is the fate of Pioneer today? Are they completely dead? The answer is yes and no. The catastrophic losses from the TV division infected the entire backbone of the company. Heading into the 2008 global financial crisis, Pioneer was shattered. To save themselves from total bankruptcy, they were forced to sell their body off piece by piece. In 2009, with a heavy heart, Pioneer announced the complete halt of TV production and sold hundreds of their plasma technology patents to their rival Panasonic. In 2014, their pride and joy, the home audio-video division, was sold to Onkyo. Tragically, Onkyo also eventually went bankrupt, and its licenses are now bounced around by other corporations. And the final blow came in 2015, when their most profitable division, Pioneer DJ, had to be sold to the investment group KKR just to raise cash. Today, the DJ division stands alone under a new company name, Alpha Theta Corporation, and they've even started releasing new products dropping the Pioneer name entirely. So, what is left of the Pioneer Corporation today? Currently, Pioneer is just a shadow of its former self. They maintain their original core business, car audio and OEM components. But even their dominance in this market is currently under heavy siege by a flood of cheap Android-based head units offering tablet-like features. The story of Pioneer is a painful reminder. Making the absolute best product with the highest quality doesn't always guarantee survival in the tech industry. Sometimes the market isn't looking for perfection, they're just looking for something good enough at a price that makes sense. What Pioneer gear do you remember the most? Share your stories down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our archives of tech nostalgia that shaped the world we live in today. See you in the next video.